This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers and Cardinals going to face off in a joint practice tomorrow morning in Green Bay. The two will then meet on Friday in the final preseason game. These two opportunities, some of the final ones the young players will have to show GM Brian Gutekunst, Coach Matt LaFleur, and the others that they deserve a roster spot. That includes wide receiver J. Michael Sturdivant. Well, he's currently in the concussion protocol. What he's done so far is certainly give LaFleur something to think about.
I think it's true with most young players, especially guys that are trying to carve out a role. The more you can do. And I think we've seen it in the run game, just how he goes out there and blocks. I think we've seen it on special teams, his ability to go out there and contribute. So, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions, though, down the stretch.
Going to be the Packers and Cardinals in a joint practice tomorrow. Then they face off on Friday night at Lambeau Field. Meanwhile, the team released its rivalry series uniforms today that they will wear against the Bears in Week 5. It includes an alabaster-colored helmet with the traditional G, green jerseys with a Lombardi-era Packers logo, and then alabaster-colored pants. Turn to the Badgers. They've got a few more days before they turn their attention to their season opener against number 4 Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. That game September 6th.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences helps eradicate cancer by preventing it, detecting it earlier, and guiding personalized treatment. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for Cologuard and Oncotype DX, allow Exact Sciences to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at exactsciences.com.
The Brewers and Mets getting a 3-game series started tonight out in New York. With 31 games to play, the crew owns a 11.5-game lead on the Cubs in the NL Central. The two teams still have to play 7 times before the end of the regular season. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
We're just being competitive, man. Going out there, playing football, things happen, emotions get high, and got into it a little bit. But, that's my boy, and I'm his boy, so we're still cool, but it's football.
If there is an issue, you're going to be limited or not at all playing in the game. The second part of that, I'm going to tell the guys, hey, you come tag me in. They can tag in my brother, and we'll throw down on the 50.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's the voices of Matt LaFleur and Barron Sorrell. Barron Sorrell and Matthew Golden, a little fracas at practice the other day. And Matt LaFleur, at the beginning of this week, it was actually yesterday, he was talking about any potential fights during joint practices, Packers and Cardinals coming up later this week. If there are going to be any fights, Matt LaFleur joking, well, I'll just, one-on-one, I'll just go at it with my brother, which is kind of funny. There is a nugget of truth there. Look, if you're gonna fight in our joint practice, well, then you just won't play in the preseason game, which for some guys, it's fine. I don't want to play anyways. But the third preseason game might be the last opportunity some of these guys have to put something on tape to make the Packers roster and other rosters. So this third preseason game for a lot of guys is a big deal. You want to play in it. Whereas if, I'm Christian Watson or I don't know, Jordan Morgan or whoever. Oh, I can't. Oh no, don't hold me out of the preseason game. Please, coach, don't do that. We'll start with the Packers tonight. Couple Brewers things to get to. Sal Frelick has rejoined the Brewers. Roster move earlier this afternoon, although he has a torn labrum, I guess. So we'll try to parse that out. Mike Clemens will be here at 5:30. We'll have some Tuesday musings. A good proper 5 to 7 minutes bookmarked for that at the end of this hour at 4:50. And also, there was another transaction made in the NFL yesterday. The Patriots made a trade. They traded Kayshon Boutte to the Texans, which is not really all that significant. But it made me think of something with the Packers that I think is worth talking about for a few minutes at least. So we'll get to that as well. Your phone calls throughout and the live stream up and running, the Wisco Sports Zone app, the YouTube page, Twitter, at Wisco Grant, Facebook page. It's very easy to watch and consume. I swear, I try to make it as easy as possible. If you can't find a way to watch or listen to the show, I cannot help you. Very, 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 very. You have many options of where to watch and listen. I want to start with the new Packers jerseys. You heard Zach mention them in the update. And some of you might think, well, Grant, why does that matter? Well, they don't matter as much as a game or a draft pick or a trade. But when you think about it, why do we care about Packers press conferences? Why do we care about a head coach press conference or the owners meeting or when Brian Gutekunst or Ed Policy do an interview? Why do we care? We care because there might be worthwhile information in there about a player or a contract. But also, I think in the big picture, it's public relations for the organization. It's messaging, it's presentation. And I want to see and hear in every opportunity my organization doing a good job. I say my organization because it's a team I cheer for and own. I'm a shareholder. But every time a Packers official or coach or front office member speaks into a microphone, they are presenting on behalf of the team. And I want them to do a good job. It's an opportunity for public relations. And I think anytime the team announces a new jersey or a special theme night or whatever, it's team PR. It gives us an idea. It's like, do you guys know what you're doing? Are you good at this? Do you have a clue? Do you have smart people in place? Do you do a good job with this and with that and the other thing? And I think jerseys are a part of that. Like, if my team is putting out crappy alternate jerseys, makes me wonder, like, are the right people in charge? Now, a jersey is a smaller thing than a draft pick or a trade, sure, but it's still a thing. And they released their rivalry series jerseys. This is a new thing that Nike is doing this year. Rivalry series, which to me, it's kind of a funny contradictory concept because the idea behind it is a little silly to me. It's like, well, hey, here are the NFL's richest rivalries, some of the most historic franchises. Hey, Nike, let's make them look different. It's like, well, actually, no, the rivalry should be all you need. The rivalry brings all the juice that you need. I think of that line from Heat, Tom Sizemore's character, when he says, hey, the action is the juice. Like, just betting on something gives me the juice that I'd want, right? You've seen the movie Heat from the 90s. The rivalry is a rivalry shouldn't need an extra jersey. It's a rivalry, but whatever. I understand the way of the world. New jersey designs means more money, more merch for new fans. And if you're someone who likes buying the new designs, or more specifically, if someone who has money to buy the new stuff, it's like, oh, the new hoodies. Did you see it? Yeah, they're $150, man. Probably going to not get that one. Like, Packers Pro Shop, little spendy. And I'm not a huge merch guy, which is funny because I'm actually wearing a Packers shirt today, which I don't do very often. But I know a lot of fans like the new merch, and it's cool to get new designs. So I understand the way of the world. Plus, tangentially, small side note, the human race should just be creating more things. Like, as a society, as a race of beings, human beings we should never get to a point where we're like, we're good. We've done it all. We've created everything. Like, we should always be creating more art, creating more, building new things. And maybe it'll suck, but okay, well then try and build something else. That's how you create. That's how you know, so we should always be creating things. Although the alternate jerseys only do so much for me. I actually like these more than I expected, because I kind of expected to hate them, and I don't. I'm indifferent on them, which is better than I thought. I'll throw the pictures up on the live stream if you're watching the simulcast. What is the word? Alabaster? What color? I want to read the color of the jerseys here. Where is that? Matte face mask, matte helmet. Let's see here. Go Pack Go. The fans' signature rallying cry, Go Pack Go, appears on the back of the helmet. They use the old Lombardi logo, which is cool. The interlocking GB logo on the upper left chest of the jersey and back of the helmet is a modernized interpretation of a classic Packers logo that appeared on the Vince Lombardi era sideline and practice gear, predating the team's now iconic G. I kind of like that. That's slick. I think my dad has one. And these have been made available before, the interlocking G and B logo. I think he's got a hat hanging somewhere in the house at home. It doesn't fit my head. Otherwise, maybe I would have tried to steal it at a certain point. Sorry, Dad. The matte helmet says the uniform introduces a matte finish helmet for the first time. Okay, that's not of historical significance. They're just saying, hey, we made it matte now. Isn't that cool? The font, modeled after the intricate lettering on the paper currency, reflective of the financial contributions from the fans that help sustain the franchise over the years. The striping, delicate striping throughout the jersey, pants and helmet echoes the ornate borders found on the Packers stock certificate. So there's a couple cool items here. The lettering and the piping, it's kind of an homage to the stock certificates and to the shareholders. And you get the old Lombardi logo. I know a lot of people are going nuts because the helmet has a yellow stripe on it. And I forgot everyone flipped a tit last year when they did their winter whiteout or winter warning jersey. Why doesn't the helmet have any yellow on it? And I guess people have still been holding on to that because I saw a bunch of tweets. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You guys lost your mind because the helmet was all white. There wasn't any yellow on it, which again, I'm not saying, if you're a big jersey nerd, I'm not telling you that you're wasting your time. It's just, I'm not a big time jersey nerd. I kind of expected to hate these because I don't think the Packers jerseys can be improved. I think there's many jerseys around sports that are just perfect. Like, yep, It's good. Shouldn't be modernized, shouldn't be changed. 10 out of 10. It looks exactly the way that it should. And I've always kind of halfway joked, I believe it, but it's a little bit of a joke, that the alternate jerseys are for the Falcons and the Jaguars. You tinker around with those every year. No one cares. Those are franchises without any history. Tinker around with those. Try new things, design new jerseys. Don't touch the Packers, the Niners, the Cowboys, the Bears, the Steelers. Those are teams that should not futz around with alternates. Now, if you want to do throwbacks, that's a different thing, which is, I think, kind of why I like these rivalry jerseys, or why I don't hate them, is because they're not really alternates. They're kind of a fake throwback. Like, yes, we've created a new jersey, but it's a historical kind of a throwback thing with an old logo. I laughed this morning at Trevor Sikkema's tweet. He's been on the show before, Pro Football Focus. I think the last time he was on the Super Bowl in Vegas, I think is maybe the last time Trevor was on. He's really good. Draft guy. On Twitter at Tampa Bay Trey. I laughed at his tweet today. He quote tweeted the Titans rivalry jerseys, because the rivalry jerseys are all AFC South and NFC North. So the Titans were one of the 8 teams that got a new rivalry jersey. And he tweeted, yeah, the Titans nailed it with these. And I kind of laugh. It's like, yeah, of course the Titans alternate jerseys look cool, because no one knows what their actual jerseys look like. I saw a bunch of people today like rating the new rivalry jerseys, and the teams that were consistently getting the best marks were the Texans, the Titans. It's like, hey, you want to know why? Because those teams have no soul and no history. These Music City, these Titans alternates, which I think look really cool. You could have showed these to me today and said, hey, these are the Titans jerseys. I'd say, yeah, they've been wearing those for years, I think. I don't know. Whoever watches the Titans, whoever watches the Texans, with the exception of that, yearly Saturday wildcard game, seems like they're always in. You know what I mean? Or I guess they did make the divisional round. They played in the divisional round this year against the Patriots, because they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. So the Texans advanced an additional week. We got to see the Texans one more time this year, apart from their obligatory annual, Saturday wildcard game appearance. Of course, the Titans and the Texans and the Jags have cool alternate jerseys, because no one has any connection or assigns any meaning to their actual jerseys. Unlike the Packers or the Bears or even the Vikings. I thought the Vikings are pretty cool. The Bears are fine. They look like Illinois jerseys, the Illini jerseys, which I think George Halas was an Illini guy. So whatever. I'm not going to lose my mind over jerseys. I think the Packers did about as good as you can do when coming up with a new jersey for a team that's worn the same jerseys forever and been around for now over 100 years and won 13 world championships. That whole thing. So I don't hate them. That's my take. I don't hate them, which basically means I love them, because I was never going to love anything, but I don't hate them. And I'm certainly not going to lose sleep over jerseys. A real Packers football thing before we take our first break. And I hinted at this last night. It's probably worth talking a little bit more. We spend some more time on this. I have no idea who's starting at right guard week 1 in Minnesota, which is a little worrying. We went into this offseason thinking a couple things about the Packers. We thought, okay, you got to figure out O-line and you got to figure out corner. They had some questions at wide receiver, with Romeo Doubs leaving. They made the appropriate moves. We'll see if they work, but they made moves at wide receiver. They extended Watson and Reed. They traded Wicks. They allowed Doubs to walk in free agency. Okay, so we knew there were question marks at wide receiver. Those were addressed. We'll see if they were addressed properly, but they were addressed. We thought they would have to rebuild the cornerback room a little bit. Would have liked a little bit more, but they drafted Brandon Cisse and signed Benjamin St-Juste. So I guess they could have done less there. Would have liked a little bit more, but they addressed corner. Offensive line is like, you got to fix it. You got to get it right. Bill Huber was writing about this a couple weeks ago, Sports Illustrated. I shared it with you. Very important part of their offensive line was mostly maybe not a disaster, but it wasn't nearly good enough last year, and it was actively a problem. So we knew that this offseason, the offensive line was a pretty big, considerable thing they needed to get fixed. And here on August 25th, albeit with one preseason game remaining, so the offseason is not done, I have no idea who's starting at right guard in Minnesota week 1. And that seems like a little bit of an issue. It would be less of an issue if I was really confident in Aaron Banks starting at left guard and playing well for all 17 games, but I'm also not confident in that. So really, the things we know on the offensive line, Zach Bacalbueli, right tackle, Jordan Morgan, left tackle, although it's his first time doing it, so I hope he'll be good. I think he'll be good. Sean Ryan at center. Okay, new position. We'll see. The guards are shaky, right guard most of all. Stenovich talked a little bit about this last week, or I think over the weekend. I think the coordinator spoke on Saturday. Matt LaFleur didn't. It was a little bit of a media switch up, which Mike Clemens kind of looped us in on. It was Anthony Belton's job down the stretch last year. Here's Adam Stenovich talking about Anthony Belton, what he needs to do to be running with the first team offense again. He has not been. He's been running with the second team. So here's Adam Stenovich on Anthony Belton.
He's doing just fine. His situation of moving to tackle is just with the injuries and what's going on with Zach and everything like that. As Zach's working his way back in, we're kind of working Belton at tackle just to get him some reps out there right now. But that doesn't mean that he's not in the mix at guard right now. So, it's just kind of how everything's shaking out with who's in and who's not in.
So, as we've talked about before, Anthony Belton might best serve this offensive line as their swing tackle. I have no problem with that. If they feel like he can basically be the new Jordan Morgan, meaning if Zach Bacco-Bewelly now, or Jordan Morgan goes down, well, we have Anthony Belton kind of waiting in the wings as the swing tackle. And if he's got to play guard and fill in, he can, which is what Jordan Morgan did. But really, we think of him as a tackle. If that's how they view him, fine. But what I don't like and what I don't necessarily agree with is Anthony Belton is our starting right guard, and he will also kick out to tackle if we need a swing tackle. Well, here's the thing. Anthony Belton is not a natural right guard. He's not awesome at it. He never played it in college. And if the Packers think he's going to be their right guard, fine, but then rep him there. Use all of your energy and focus on making him the starting right guard and worry about the other thing after that. Because what I fear is going to happen here, and we've seen this a few times in recent years, like the Packers coaching staff, I don't think has done the best job figuring out the best five and getting them in the right spots. What I'm concerned is going to happen here is they're going to be so obsessed with Anthony Belton being the right guard, but also the swing tackle, that he's not going to be good at either of them. And then they'll be porked twice because they won't have a good right guard and they still won't be set up all that great at swing tackle. Not that any team is, because who has two good tackles, let alone a third, right? It's very rare. It's hard to find 5 good starting offensive linemen, let alone 6 or 7. If Anthony Belton is the starting right guard, then rep him there. And if he needs to kick out and play tackle down the line, well, then you can figure that out and deal with that when it happens. But I don't like the Packers preparing for 2 possibilities and not really being prepared then for either of them. Now, maybe it's Jagger Burton or Jacob Monk. It kind of feels like Jacob Monk's going to be a part of the mix. Adam Stenovich talking about the competition between Jacob Monk and Jagger Burton at some of the interior spots.
Yeah, so Monk, love his play style. He's a nasty dude. So watching him play has been really fun. Guard, he can play center. Obviously Jagger played center in college. We haven't gotten him as much center reps as I would like to have. We're going to try and focus on that this week to try and just keep him working in there in case that has to come up later on in the year. But just, you get a young guy moving positions like Jagger has, there's going to be some fundamental things that he has to work through and figure out. Sometimes the hard way is the only way you can really do that. So just getting him out there and playing, I think, is just super valuable for him in the long run.
So I'm fine with Jagger Burton repping at multiple spots and being trained as a professional offensive lineman because he's a rookie and he's never done it before, and he might best serve the Packers as the backup center. What I fear is going to happen is week 1, Anthony Belton and Jacob Monk are going to rotate at right guard, and I'm worried that neither of them are going to be that good. And then Zach Bacco-Bewelly or Jordan Morgan get hurt, and then you're going to have to kick out Anthony Belton, and he's not going to be that much better prepared to play tackle, and you're still not good at right guard, and we're kind of back in the same spot we were last year. That's my concern. We'll see. I have removed some of my skepticism about Jacob Monk. He was hurt a lot last year. Who knows? Maybe he just needed a year or 2, and now he's ready to be an NFL starter. I don't know. But I look a little sideways at the way this coaching staff has handled the offensive line. And you should too. Look at how they've done it the last couple of years. They've gotten a lot of stuff wrong. I don't think they're lacking talent on the O-line. I don't know that they have 2014 Packers offensive line talent, but their talent is better than what we saw in games last year. I think they have adequately stocked this offensive line with some nice players with some flexibility. I'm scared the coaching staff is not going to align them or train them properly. And again, that fear should be very natural and well-founded based on what we've seen the last couple of years. Your calls on the Packers, the jerseys, the O-line, whatever. 608-321-1670 to you next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in a minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I think we got a pretty tight room just in general. I really like, when I watch the tape, I really like our play style right now. We got a lot of guys finishing blocks, doing a really good job with that, running down the field, covering the ball, things like that. So I'm encouraged by that. But yeah, it's one of those things that how long does it take? I don't have the answer to that. I think it just depends on the guys. And, if you have more veteran guys, I think it goes faster than if you have some younger players. But whatever shakes out, we're going to make the best of it. I know those guys, they got a lot of pride and they work really hard in that room. So I'm just excited to kind of see how it all shakes out.
Adam Stenovich on getting the best 5 on the field. How long does that take? Figuring out your best 5 offensive linemen. They really like the play style. I've heard that, and that's good because I've kind of hated their play style the last few years. Need a little bit more nasty. I think they've had polite offensive lines. You need a little bit more. And I think that's probably why they like Jacob Monk. I think Jordan Morgan's shown a little bit of that. So play style, yes. Players also just need to be good enough. So being nasty and finishing blocks, that's one thing. On top of that, you need to be good enough and good enough at your position. And I question the Packers coaching staff and their ability to figure that out a little bit just because, well, again, look at how the last couple of years have gone. I think they've had some misses. I think they've had plenty of misses aligning guys on the offensive line. I think they have enough talent. It's on the coaching staff to put them in the right spots. And they've erred a little bit over the last couple of years there. 608-321-1670 to your calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Well. This is my old friend, Grant Bill.
Hey, Eric on 90. What's going on?
You're a safe for sore eyes, Grant. You're a safe for sore eyes.
Well,
nice
I'm happy to be back. Brett on the live stream said, Grant, glad nothing catastrophic happened to you on vacation. I'm glad too. I guess I didn't know that was on the board, but I'm also glad that didn't happen.
Always. I'm glad nothing catastrophic happens just on your normal daily routine.
Thank you. I am as well. Sometimes it's hard.
I just pulled the jet sweep onto I-90 here, so I feel a lot better
Good.
about calling. I just never feel good unless I'm on the super slab called I-90. So,
correct.
You're just proving my point about these offensive linemen, that when you draft offensive linemen, you should draft the best center every year that's available, because then you have a center and two guards.
Yeah.
All the time. Doesn't matter at all. And then you got these uniforms. These people worked a long time on these uniforms.
Sure.
They should be proud of them, right? There's a whole team that came up with those uniforms for each team, and they worked hard. Granted, these people at work, that you don't think they do much, but they did work hard on those.
I don't think they do much. What do you mean? Graphic designers and...
I guess that's where you work. They probably do more than where I work. Okay. There's not a lot. We kind of wonder about what our marketing team is doing, but that's okay. That has nothing to do with football. And that's, how I like to stick to topics. And I believe now that JJ McCarthy is, he's not a victim. He's getting what he's got coming to him. But if this was a trial, the video footage we're getting of him now is clearly to run him out of town, because we get nothing but air balls. And I would say, the videos from practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see them all the time, right?
Yep.
But a lot of the times now it's Kyler Murray making a great pass all the time. So they're trying to brainwash us into Kyler Murray's really good.
Yeah.
And then now with JJ McCarthy, we see nothing but air balls and funny music playing behind it, right? Which leads me to, I believe that JJ McCarthy and the coach are like Dr. Fauci, and it's just like, why didn't you bring this up last year? What did you know last year? Were you just taking pictures and film of the same pass from 4 different angles?
Yes.
When he had a good one? That's what I want to know, because some of this had to be going on.
Probably.
You all knew it.
I think so. And I think Eric, I appreciate it. Okay. I gotta get to some other callers here.
Yeah, have a great day.
You too. Yep. It is my prediction, by the way, and I told you this a month or two ago, Eric, one of our resident Vikings fans. I think they trade JJ McCarthy before the beginning of the year. I just saw Kevin Seifert tweet within the last hour that today in their 80-minute practice, JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz split second team reps. Carson Wentz is on the team, and they gave him a not negligible contract. I think they gave him $3 million, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, which I know doesn't seem like that much, but they don't do that if they're cocksure about JJ McCarthy being their number 2. I don't think he's going to be on the team. I don't know. He should do the Mitch Trubisky thing. Go somewhere, have everyone forget you exist, maybe play in mop-up duty as a backup once or twice, and then in a year or two when you're a free agent and you have an option to sign a nice deal as a backup somewhere, people say, oh, that JJ McCarthy, he was a top 10 pick. There's a lot of talent. That's what everyone said about Trubisky. Trubisky was terrible. He still is. But you go somewhere, you hide out with the Bills for a year, you let people forget how bad you were, and then when you pop up again as a backup, people are like, oh, JJ McCarthy, great backup. He was a top 10, top 15 pick. You make a little money that way. That's where I feel it goes with JJ McCarthy. I think his time in Minnesota is done, and we will see that over the next week or 2 or 3. That would be my guess. 608-321-1670. 2 more here and then break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant Bills, how we looking?
I'm looking excellent, Vagabond John. Nice to hear your voice.
my wife commented. I said, "Oh, look, the Grant Bill show is on." And she sees it on my second monitor, and she's like, "He looks like the William Dafoe Wisconsin meme today."
Yes, I have a Packers
I said,
shirt
I think
and
that's a compliment.
a yellow Liney's hat. I have a hat on because I have bedhead. I was in a rush this morning and I didn't have time to stick it in the shower. So yes, I have a hat on today. Sorry if it makes me look like a Wisconsin guy.
I think it makes you look great for what
Thank-
it's worth.
thank
And
you.
also
Thank you.
was on bedhead duty today. Hey, the Packers uniforms, meh, whatever. They're,
Sure.
I think they're better than the Badgers, I guess is my only
Agreed.
benchmark right now. I
Agreed.
think if I'm going to pick one to buy, I'm probably going to buy the Packer one before I buy the Chrome look. And honestly, I kind of forgot that on September 6th, when the Badgers kick off versus Notre Dame, they're going to be wearing a Chrome version of the Wisconsin jersey. And then I thought about that. I'm like, I started to get excited listening to Zach and Jesse bicker on their podcast,
favorite.
as they do. And and then I remember the jerseys again. I'm like, is this just going to be another repeat? Are we going to let ourselves down? So enough about Badgers, Packers, man. This offensive line's got to get it figured out. Your commentary there is golden. It's real nerve wracking when they're like, oh, we might just not have a guard that's capable of starting a full NFL season. And it's August, right? Get it figured out. So I guess my question that I want to leave you with, Grant, is over the last few years, I've been firmly on Team Goody and firmly anti-LaFleur. I do not think LaFleur is a very good head coach. I think he's Mike Tomlin light, right? He probably will never have a team that sucks, but I don't know if he's that guy that can bring his team to the next level.
Sure.
Is it time to start to look a little bit more deeply at Goody and say, okay, there actually are a lot of holes, and it doesn't really have to do with injuries. We love Micah Parsons. We love Xavier McKinney. We love some of the additions. Or does every team have a hole and we just have an offensive line hole and maybe DBs? That's about it. So I'll hang up and listen. But is it time to look at Goody? Yes or no?
So I agree with that last thing you said, Vagabond. I think every team has holes because it's hard to find 53 excellent football players and then a bunch of good backups. So yes, to that second thing, I think just about every team has holes, maybe save for the Seahawks last year or the Eagles, and those teams were also perfectly healthy. So there is maybe a team or two every year where everything lines up and that team's just the balls. But most teams have holes somewhere. Let's just stick to the O-line here because I don't want to litigate Brian Gutekunst's the job that he's done wholesale. Just on the O-line, I said in the opening segment, I could be wrong, but it is my belief that these last 2 years they have acquired and stacked enough talent on the O-line. I think they have enough O-linemen, and I think they have enough solid quality players. My question is with LaFleur, Stenovich, Butkus, are they going to put these guys in the right spot? Last year, they had better talent than you would have guessed based on their performance. Now, part of that is injury. Zach Tom gets hurt. That's your best O-lineman, so that sucks. But I think Jordan Morgan is pretty solid, and you had him playing a position he's not best at, and you're rotating right guards. And was it smart to move Elton Jenkins to center? I don't know. I defend the team on that because I think Elton Jenkins dogged it and showed up not ready to play center and cost them early and then got hurt, which isn't his fault. But the first thing is, I don't hold the struggles of the O-line recently against the front office. I think they identify and draft and acquire good players. Maybe they overspent a little bit on Aaron Banks, but whatever. They didn't let that position. They didn't ignore it completely. My question is with the coaching staff. I think between Sean Ryan, who they re-signed, Burton, who they drafted, Belton, who they drafted last year, Monk, who they drafted. I think this collection, I'm not telling you it's 2014 all over again, that unit. I think there's good offensive linemen in this room. My concern is the coaches. Are you repping them in the right spots and preparing them to play in the spots they will be best? That's my question. And it's a very valid one because we've seen shortcomings in that area a bunch over the last couple of years. So no, I don't think it's on Goody. Let's see how the season plays out. If Belton's a disaster and Burton can't play and Monk sucks and Morgan's not okay, well then we'll circle back. But it is my opinion right now that they have enough good offensive linemen. It's on the coaches to figure it out. That's my concern. 608-321-1670. One more here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant.
Evening,
Happy
Cohen.
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Good to have the Brewers back tonight. Looking forward to picking up on this little hot streak they're on. What's not hot? These rivalry jerseys. I don't necessarily hate the Packer jersey in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I just hate that the NFL is heading towards this NBA-ification of alternative jerseys. They've been very, I would say, conservative the NFL has with their jerseys over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, color rush here and there, some like actual throwbacks, but like to develop a whole new jersey concept, I just don't really like that. I mean, it's what the rivalry set. Like, football is such an aesthetic sport. I want my Packers and Bears wearing their classic uniforms, battling it out with Chris Collinsworth on the call.
So I agree with all that. Co-sign 100%. But I think, Cone, you're a very smart guy. I'm smart on some things. I consider myself smart enough on this topic. We both just understand that's not the way of the world. But then again, I don't think it's unfair to be disappointed with the NFL, because the NFL has operated in a way that other leagues haven't, where they don't just, throw any outfit or throw any jersey out on the field. So I guess that's a fair criticism. The rivalry concept is where you lose me a little bit, Cone, because Bears Packers is enough, man. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to, if you're sexing anything up, maybe they were right about Thursday Night Football, the color rush thing. Yeah, it's Jags and Browns. We should probably find a way to make this more interesting. Like, those are the games you use the alternates on, not the biggest, rivalries with the best brands.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree. Anything else, Cone?
No, not really. Pretty slow day back in Phoenix. Wish I brought that cool weather from the Midwest with me. Am I right?
Yeah, good. Yeah, appreciate it, Cone. Have a good night. Appreciate it. I agree with all of that. I have nothing to add, Cone. Excellent analysis on the jerseys. When we come back, another Packers thing. We'll get into the Brewers a little bit. Hour number 2, Tuesday Musings, the end of this hour. I have some things I need to rant about, but one more Packers thing that's connected to the Patriots. I'll explain next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin believe in games. They never built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
The Kayshon Boutte saga is over. This is Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald. The Patriots traded wide receiver Kayshon Boutte to the Houston Texans for safety Jalen Reed and a 2028 seventh round pick. Boutte had reportedly requested a trade way back in the spring. He was a good soldier all throughout training camp, had a really strong training camp, showed a strong rapport with Drake May even going back to last year. But now he's on his way out to the Texans.
I thought Phil Perry made a really good point with us early in camp when I said, hey, maybe they should consider just giving him a little bump to make him happy and make this not be an issue, that he's now bumped down the depth chart. And Phil said, do you really think that an unhappy Kayshon Boutte is going to really upset a team that is coming off a Super Bowl and is trying to get back to the playoffs with double-digit wins? Do you think that is going to derail this team? And I said, you know what, Phil, you're right. No, it's not going to derail anything. He's a down the depth chart, solid receiver, good, reliable set of hands. I said, you're right. It's not. Let him be unhappy if he's unhappy, and let him earn his opportunities. You know what? You're right, Phil. Who cares? Don't trade him. Make him play.
All right, so some audio that might not make sense when I play it for you there. Welcome back to the Wisco Sports Show, Tuesday Musings in 10 minutes. That was Doug Kyed basically sharing the breaking news. Hey, the Patriots have traded Kayshon Boutte to the Texans for a 6th or a 7th round pick and a safety. And then you heard a little bit from that's Boston Sports Talk Radio, Beetle and Zolak and Bertrand, and that was the point that got my brain spinning. There's a Packers connection here. Just give me a sec, okay? So the Patriots this offseason add Romeo Doubs and add A.J. Brown. They've drafted some other players the last couple of years, but for the most part, the Patriots wide receiver room is headlined by Romeo Doubs and A.J. Brown. And Kayshon Boutte, if you watch the Patriots at all last year, or you watch that playoff game against the Texans, he's a pretty good player for him. Not an every week, big-time stat producer, need him in fantasy football type guy, but a guy that you'd want on your team if you're trying to contend, and a guy who had a great downfield rapport with Drake May. This offseason, they trade him away for not a whole lot. In essence, because, well, Kayshon Boutte wanted a bigger role and he wasn't going to get it in New England because A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs are there and they had drafted some other guys. And you heard, is it Mark Bertrand? I don't know why I'm asking you. I should know this. I cut this out. I think it's Mark Bertrand, who does middays on 98.5. Tyler and Mass on the live stream. Maybe you can help me out. The midday show, Zolak and Bertrand, making the point at the beginning of this offseason, Phil Perry, the Patriots reporter who joined him, said, I would just keep him. What's going to happen if you keep Kayshon Boutte Is the season going to go sideways because your wide receiver 4 wants a bigger role? Probably not. Now, if A.J. Brown or Devontae, if your number 1 guy starts making a stink, that can be an issue. Just ask the Eagles. But was Kayshon Boutte in theory going to sink the Patriots season? Probably not. He probably would have been a good soldier and made the most of his opportunities in effort of getting a nice contract down the road with another team. This jumps out to me, and I cut this sound and wanted to bring it up because it feels very Dontavian Wicks-ish, you know? The Packers traded away Dontavian Wicks. I don't even remember what they traded him away for. 6th round, something like that. I don't even think they got a player in return. They traded him for a late round draft pick. So the trade was not, hey, we're going to capitalize on this asset. The trading of Dontavian Wicks was, he's not really all that thrilled with his role, so we're going to do right by him. And hey, I'm all for a team doing right by the player when it's not detrimental to the team. But if I was a Patriots fan, I'd certainly prefer to still have Kayshon Boutte on my team. And as a Packers fan, I wonder, and I asked Mike Renner about this 2 weeks ago, and he joined me as I was filling in for Bill's show, like, did the Packers have to trade Dontavian Wicks? Was Dontavian Wicks going to make a stink? Was he going to sink your season because he's been relegated to the 4th wide receiver behind Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Matthew Golden? Was that going to doom your season? And I'd also argue that if that does mess up your season, then that's an issue with your coaching staff, because that's something your coaching staff needs to be able to navigate. Hey, man, sorry, you've been banged up. You haven't performed well. If you want a bigger role, you're going to have to take a better advantage of your opportunity. And a good coach is going to have to make a player hear that. I don't think the lack of Dontavian Wicks on this team is going to cost them big time. But what if Jaden Reed breaks his thumb and needs to miss a month? Like, wouldn't you certainly prefer to have Dontavian Wicks still here? What if Christian Watson gets a concussion? I don't know. What if Matthew Golden twists an ankle? What if a million things happen? Wouldn't you like Dontavian? Dontavian Wicks won you a game in Detroit on Thanksgiving last year. I just think the Packers would be a better football team with Dontavian Wicks here. And when they traded him away, I think we're all like, well, you're doing right by the player. He gets to go get a contract. Why did the Packers need to do that, you know? What's wrong with just keeping him? He's your wide receiver 4. He's right there in case someone gets hurt. And is he going to make a stink and ruin your season? I doubt it. And if so, I'd argue that's more of a coaching problem than a Dontavian Wicks problem. I don't know. Just a thought is that was a smaller NFL story you might have missed yesterday, but Kayshon Boutte, a nice player for the Patriots last year, part of Drake May's breakout. They trade him away basically because he wanted to go somewhere with more opportunity or whatever. And that's kind of what Dontavian Wicks wanted. But my point is, like, yeah, I want a lot of things. But if I go to my boss and say, hey, I want $1 million raise, he's going to say, okay, sure. You know, like, yeah, I'd love that for you too, buddy. But that's not how the world works. I don't know. 608-321-1670. I'm going to take a call here and then we'll break, get to some Tuesday musings. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Tony from Texas.
Hey, Tony.
Nothing boosts. Hey, Grant. Nothing boosts the Wisco Sports Show like Boston radio talk. My goodness, Grant. Who cares about the Patriots?
No. You see, you're missing the point. I needed the end. I needed the angle.
Together. I'm not an idiot, Grant. Don't insult me. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to tie it to Dontavian Wicks.
Yes.
I get it. Wicks has had 3 games in his whole career. I mean, come on, man. Who cares? Trade them. Wide receivers are divas. You know they are. They're going to complain and bitch about everything.
Here's my point. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, they're hurt a lot, Tony. What if one of them misses a lot of time this year? So Bo Melton is the next guy up?
They must believe in Savion Williams, the kid from TCU. They must believe in him.
Okay, I would say I don't love that.
Well, we don't love the end around plays that Matt LaFleur likes to run with him. But you know what, Grant? We all live off the sports calendar. We don't live off the 12-month calendar. We live off that weekend after Labor Day. That is when the NFL starts. I am mapping out my entire next 4 months. I'm going to go to that Atlanta game. It's I think a Thursday night game. That's the first game at Lambeau, Lodge Kohler, of course. And then I'm going to go to the Dallas Cowboy game, Grant. And you know, when I think about the Dallas Cowboys, I got to think about the cheerleaders. And when I think about the cheerleaders, believe it or not, I think about Dolly Parton and Rip Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a show she put on a couple of years ago. And, hopefully, we don't lose any more legends like Willie Nelson. But Dolly Parton, what a legend. Had to throw it out there.
Don't put that out in the universe, Tony. Anything else? I got to get to a break, and I'm going to talk about Dolly Parton a little bit in our next segment.
No, hey, I think the people are sleeping on the pack. I'm actually somewhat glad Micah and Tucker are coming back later. Keep these guys healthy, grow with these guys that you got, and then get that boost later in the season. I think people are sleeping on the Packers. I'll take the over. I'm predicting 12 wins.
Oh, I would love to see that, Tony. Tony in Texas, appreciate it. You know what, Tony? I'm sorry. I went out of my way today to try to find some audio to use as a bumper to help make this show sound more professional. I'm sorry I did that. The next time I consider spending 10 minutes of my workday to go to a radio station's YouTube to try to find a piece of sound to better enhance the product that comes through your speakers, you know what, Tony? I'll stick my thumb up my butt and spin around in my work chair instead. I'm sorry. I thought it was a nice way to get into our time. I just think the Packers would be a little bit better insulated if Dontavian Wicks was still here. And I don't know that Dontavian Wicks being here and being not super thrilled with his role was going to ruin your season. That's my point. You know what? When we come back, Tony, I won't even play music. Why bother? Why bother with any production value in the show? Doesn't matter. You guys know what's happening. It's a sports radio show. Why do we need a bumper song when we come back? Tuesday Musings. I have thoughts on what did I write down for this week? I have thoughts on the boat landing and Dolly Parton. We'll do that next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It was like 1995, 96. I went down to the National Association of Broadcasters convention held in New Orleans. Fabulous. Milton Berle was still there.
Oh, wow.
I got a whole bunch of stories. Not unlike, it's not that way anymore, but not unlike what we get every year when we go to Super Bowl and you do the show live from Radio Row, right?
Right.
So there's this one group of a bunch of radio station owners, and I want to say, okay, I want to see what these radio station owners, what they're talking about. The keynote speaker was Dolly Parton, and you're thinking, oh, come on, they're bringing on the blonde, for no. Miss Dolly Parton went up to the podium, put on some bifocals, opened up a folder, and talked about her portfolio of 12 radio stations she owns across Tennessee and across that midsection of the country, and talked about the breaks that they need from the FCC in order to sustain ownership and things that they need. I mean, that was one of the best business presentations I've ever seen. And she's wearing that all gold suit kind of thing.
Yeah.
She put on those bifocals, and that woman was all about business.
Mike Clemens earlier on Bill's show today. Of course, he has a Dolly Parton story because he's Mike Clemens. He has a story for everybody. I thought that was a nice anecdote. Mike Clemens will be here in about 35 minutes. Rest in peace to Dolly Parton. It was announced that she passed away today at the age of 80. Some Tuesday musings here. I love country music. Going all the way back, any era, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 60s, 70s, I like all of it. And I was genuinely today trying to make a list of country music figures or icons that are bigger than Dolly Parton. Like, make a list of the most important people in country music history and stop when you get to Dolly Parton. And it cannot be very many people. I think Hank Sr. is one, although he died really young. I think Buck Owens is one, and I think George Jones is one. I have a really difficult time putting anybody else in front of Dolly Parton. Merle Haggard would probably be close. I'm just not a huge Johnny Cash guy, so sorry. I don't think that Johnny Cash is. I don't think he's there. Willie is somewhere in that neighborhood, probably Willie Nelson. Kenny, I see on the live stream, Kenny Rogers. He's down a way. I mean, he's in the neighborhood, but he's down a ways. I seriously think if you were making Patsy Cline, but Patsy Cline died young too, and relatively, what was she 30? My point is, if you were writing the history annals of country music in America, and you were starting with the most important people, I don't think you could get more than 2 or 3 or 4. And what Dolly did at that period in time, because she was on the Porter Wagoner show, to get past that and to become a star of her own, just a really crazy important figure. And I don't think there's more than like 2 or 3 tops who are more important than her. I think Hank Sr., I think Buck Owens, I think George Jones, and that might be it. And I love Merle Haggard, and he's right there nearby somewhere. And Loretta Lynn's probably not far behind. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about in Tuesday Musings today. Also, just in passing, you people are morons at boat landings. I brought this up in this very segment before. The places on earth where you really realize how stupid people are. The interstate is one. There's 2 lanes, and 80% of you still don't know how to use them. Hotel hallways. Remember, I brought this up a month or 2 ago. There are fully grown adults who will walk loudly down a hotel hallway and talk loudly at 10:30 p.m., not knowing that there's people sleeping. Like, how dumb, how stupid. So the interstate, hotel hallways, after quiet hours, and the boat landing. Oh my God. I can't understand. There's a line of trucks with boats. And you're down there futzing with the life jackets and the fishing rod. You do that before you launch the boat, or you kick the boat out and you anchor it and you do it out there. I lose so much faith in the human race at the boat landing. Champagne problem, maybe. But I'm just reading comments for country music names on the live stream. Doc Watson, yeah, it's more bluegrass, though.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are in New York. It's where they're going to take on the Mets in a series starting tonight. The crew comes in off of taking 2 of 3 against the Braves. Kyle ball for Milwaukee. He's 10. 3 starts. The Mets counter with Zach Thornton. He's 3-4 with a 3.04 ERA. He's given up at least 3 runs in 4 of his last 5 outings. Milwaukee's leading the NL Central stands at 5.5 games on the Cubs. First pitch is set for 6:10. Turning to the Packers, they're going to hold a joint practice tomorrow with the Cardinals in Green Bay. There have been some big fights in joint practices already this year. Coach Matt LaFleur says for the most part, it hasn't been an issue for the Packers during his tenure.
I think there's a lot of unknowns anytime you go into joint practices. I don't care who you're going against, but we've had, fortunately, I know last year there was an incident with Seattle, but I think back the year before when we played Baltimore, there was no issues. So that's all we're looking to do is have good, clean work, and hopefully it's productive for both teams.
Again, it'll be the Packers and Cardinals joint practice tomorrow. The teams will then meet on Friday night in the final preseason game for both.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences helps eradicate cancer by preventing it, detecting it earlier, and guiding personalized treatment. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for Cologuard and Oncotype DX, allow Exact Sciences to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at exactsciences.com.
Well, the Badgers less than 2 weeks out from the start of their season against number 4 Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. The Irish have been installed as 20.5-point favorites as they return the most production of any team in the country. That includes Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback C.J. Carr. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
We're just being competitive, man. Going out there playing football, things happen, emotions get high, and got into it a little bit. But, that's my boy, and I'm his boy, so we're still cool, but it's football.
If there is an issue, you're going to be limited or not at all playing in the game. The second part of that, I'm going to tell the guys, hey, you come tag me in, they can tag in my brother, and we'll throw down on the 50.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
All right, hour number 2, Mike Clemens coming up at 5:35. The show tonight presented by In on the River. Beautiful Trempealeau, Wisconsin. This time of year, feel the air a little crisper this morning. I guess I wouldn't say crisp. Cool. I don't know that we've reached crisp yet. But man, this might be my favorite time of year. Leaves, before too long, we got a little time, but the leaves will start to turn. What a beautiful time of year to be out playing golf, to be out for a hike, to be out on the boat, enjoying the river. Maybe enjoying a local orchard or a winery or a bunch of them in one day. Why not? Let's stack them up. Let's do a little cruise. With the designated driver, of course. Trempealeau is the perfect place to do it. I think a lot of people around the state of Wisconsin don't know exactly just how beautiful it is over there on the Mississippi Riverway. And I know this because I listened to the Brewers broadcasts on the radio. And more than one time this summer, I have heard a contestant, for one of the special innings, one of their promotions. The contestant is Mike from Trempealeau. And I've heard Levering and Grindle say, I've never been to Trempealeau. I'm like, oh, you have no idea what you're missing. Oh, it kills me. So I can't recommend enough our friends In on the River. It is right on the river. You look out the window of your room and you see the beautiful Mississippi. And it's in one of the wide spots too. So you got the big bluffs across, a lot of water. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a great home base, lots of food and drink right around the way. The Trempealeau Hotel and Sullivan Supper Club. And it's a perfect spot. You want to go for a night, go for a weekend. Heck, if you want to really do some fishing, go nuts, bring the boat and stay for a week. Why not? The marina's right there. It's a really convenient spot. So In on the River, WI.com, or like their Facebook page, In on the River Trempealeau, or give them a call with any questions that you might have. It's a beautiful time of year to get over there. And I know because we're getting close to Oktoberfest, and I can't wait to get over there. We've been talking about the Packers, the right guard position, offensive line especially. I was just kicking around the idea that maybe it wasn't the right move to trade Dontavian Wicks. It's depth that I would like. And I got thinking about that because the Patriots traded Kayshon Boutte, and I think it's similar where it's like, well, yeah, we'd love to have the player, but, they're unhappy with their role or whatever. It's like, okay, but are they good enough to be unhappy with their role? Have they succeeded enough? Have they proven enough to be unhappy with their role? So that's on the table. The Packers' new jerseys as well. And I'm trying to figure out on today, the day we learned that Dolly Parton, sadly, surprisingly passes away. Just in Tuesday Musings before we broke for Zach's update, and I lost track of time. If you were making a list of the biggest country icons, I don't know that you could list more than 2 or 3 or 4 before Dolly Parton, which is crazy. Just a Massive figure. 608-321-1670. Let's take a call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Evening, Grant.
Evening. Is this Tim from Sparta?
It would be Tim from Sparta.
Evening, Tim. How are you?
Well, I got some good and I got some bad.
Okay.
The bad part was Dolly Parton passing today. I actually had to pull over, shed a little tear, because that woman is probably one of the greatest human beings that's ever lived.
Yeah.
Not only did she provide music for people's souls, and a ton of it. I mean, I think she has over like 11 or 1,200 songs that have actually been recorded that she wrote. She's a tremendous force in country music, but even more with her educational work with the books. That woman has enlightened more brains than anybody else.
Yeah.
She's just a tremendous human being.
A great American.
I wish there were more people. Yes, absolutely. She was always proud of her country, would never tell you what side she was on because she said, that's not my business. And she was business.
Yeah.
She pulled off this dumb thing to perfection. I remember her once saying, nobody's ever spent as much money to look like a trash heap as me.
Yeah.
She was self-deprecating, just a wonderful human being. And then the bad thing is, Grant, I got to take you to task just a little bit.
Okay.
I love it when you rant, and I love it when you're sarcastic.
Okay.
But when you're doing, sometimes you're sarcastic, you sound like a whiny little bitch.
Well, so there is that. I do occasionally, yeah.
Tonight, after your little rant there about the Dontavian Wicks, I got it perfectly. I understood it 100%. I knew where you were going when you told it. But some guys can do it. Some guys can have that sarcastic rant type thing going on. Rant or be sarcastic. Don't mix them. It just doesn't work for you.
Are you telling? Are you describing how I responded to Tony in Texas and his criticism?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. I didn't think this would be some polarizing topic. I mean, I like depth on my team, and Jaden Reed and Christian Watson get hurt a lot. Like I don't know. Was Dontavian Wicks being here going to completely sink your season?
No, I completely agree with you. Like I said, I understood where you were going with it and everything else. It's just that sarcastic when you just got a little too whiny.
That's true.
Now, if it was more sarcasm, less whine, would have been a perfect rant.
All right, fine.
But there was too much whine in that voice. So I'll let you go on that.
Thank you, Tim.
As always, you have a wonderful evening. Go Pack, go. The Bears still suck.
Appreciate it, Tim. Folksy as ever. I also gave it to Tony like that because it's Tony in Texas. I wouldn't do that for most listeners, but Tony wants to call and complain. Tony, the guy who calls in to talk about the moms that he's chasing. I guess I'm not going to take it from Tony. I would take it more from other callers. By the way, just a couple follow-ups on the Tuesday Musings. Jake from Fall Creek on Country Music Stars in no particular order. George Jones, Johnny well, they have to be in some particular order. That's the point of the exercise. George Jones, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, Buck Owens, Patsy Cline, Waylon Jennings, Conway, Alan Jackson, George Strait, Merle, David Allen Coe. I gotta say, I'm just not a big outlaw country guy. I think David Allen Coe has some songs that are brilliant, but it's mixed in with a lot of like, I went to jail and killed that man. It's like, I don't know. I don't need that stuff. George Jones, yes. Johnny Cash, Johnny Cash as a figure, not so. It's not that I don't like the music of Johnny Cash, but he's more of a figure than a. Hank Williams Sr., yes, I think. This is what I think if you're listing country music icons and you're going to Dolly Parton, I would have Hank Sr., George Jones, Buck Owens. And the rest of this list are all very high, but I would put them after Dolly Parton. Jim in Cottage Grove says George Strait, Garth Brooks, and Patsy Cline. Patsy Cline, yes. She's got to be pretty close to Dolly. She also died. So this is a problem when people die young. And I guess you could say that about Hank Sr. too. So should I penalize Hank Sr. the way we penalize Patsy Cline? Garth Brooks is just, I don't know. George Strait, very prolific. I like George Strait. I don't think he was as impactful. Maybe George Strait will end up being as impactful for the country music stars of today. But in his era, I don't think he was impactful. Ryan says, the aisles in the grocery store is another place I lose faith in all of humanity. Get your stuff and get out. I would agree. Tom and Bloomer. Hey, by the way, shout out to Bloomer. Why does no one in Wisconsin media talk about what Jack Strand is doing? I have to stand up for Dunn County. Bloomer's in Dunn County. Yeah. Yeah. Bloomer's not in Barron County, is it? Bloomer's in Dunn County. Why do I have to be the only one to stand up for Dunn County? Good Lord. If Jack Strand was from Middleton or Green Bay Preble, it would be everywhere. He's from Bloomer. No one cares. Why do I have to be the only? Why? Tom, thank you for texting in. Says, thank you for expressing your displeasure about people at boat landings. Opening day and holidays are the worst. Boat landing is, Bobby in Menominee says, what do we even get for Wicks? I don't remember. They traded him to do right by him, which is fine. But like, did you have to do it? You know what I mean? Did you have to trade Dontavian Wicks? Because Christian Watson and Jaden Reed are hurt a lot. I'm not trying to bring this. I know this happened weeks ago. The only reason I'm bringing this up today is because the Patriots traded Kayshon Boutte yesterday, and it feels very similar to me. Like they gave him to the Texans for a safety and a 2029 like 6th or 7th round pick, which is basically what the Packers gave away for, got in return for Dontavian Wicks, which is basically, hey, you're being phased out here. We're going to send you on your way. Even if guys have been phased out, it doesn't mean I don't want the depth on my team. So I just revisit, just sharing a thought with Dontavian Wicks. I'm not trying to beat the Packers over the head with this. I don't think it will define their season, but it could be the difference, a win here or there. If you have a Thursday night game where Jaden Reed's banged up or Christian Watson's got a twisted ankle and you need one extra wide receiver, like Dontavian Wicks had proven he could be that guy. Yeah, Bloomer might be Chippewa County. I'm unsure. To any point, to either point. No one cares about Bloomer. Of course, if we have athletes from, Green Bay or anywhere else in the state, be all over it. But oh no, Jack Strand can't get any love. I guess he's getting love right now, so I shouldn't be so bitchy about it. Sorry, Tim and Sparta. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Good evening, Grant. You wild, you whiny little bitch.
Yeah,
apparently.
That was very direct, but it did make me laugh. Good evening, Darnell.
Going good. Hey, does it feel like this series against the Mets is a must sweep? Like a really bad team, and if they take 2 out of 3, I'm going to be kind of disappointed, or like really disappointed. Does that feel like that?
A must sweep. Here's the thing. They took 2 of 3 from the Mariners, and that felt okay because one of the games was an ass beating. So if they take 2 of 3 from the Mets, but they feel like their 2 wins are just dominant, I feel like I'd be okay with that, but I like the idea of a must sweep. That intrigues me. I'm going to think more about that.
Well, that series against the Mariners, I believe the Cubs lost 2 of 3 during that series, so it felt better to us because we gained a game on the Cubs.
I like that.
If we go 2 of 3 against the Mets, and God forbid the Cubs go 3 for 3 for the next couple days, I'm going to probably be a little frustrated here with my crew. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't think that any series is ever really a must sweep, but this feels like one when it comes to just the level of play and then who they have ahead in their schedule, right? You want to really go into this upcoming Cubs series with a head of steam. So that's my feeling.
You'd like to not lose ground in advance of the Cubs series. Yeah, you'd like to give yourself some wiggle room. And I think it matters who's on the mound, too. Like, they're going to have Harrison, May, and Mizorowski the next 3 days. And I think that matters a lot, too, right? Like, if they had Drowan, Gasser, and TBD or whatever, like, maybe I look at those games a little bit differently. But with Harrison, May, and Mizorowski against a Mets team that's just absolutely dreadful, you should be able to, you're probably right. It's really tough for me to say full-bore must sweep, but this feels close.
And also, you never know which Dustin May you're going to get, right? You could get 7 innings 3 hits, or you could get 2 innings, 7 runs. You know what I mean? You never know. We'll see.
I would agree with that, Darnell. Appreciate the call. Sal Frelick is back with the Brewers. He was added to the roster today. He's in the clubhouse. I was listening to an interview. I guess he has a torn labrum, which is a little odd. He talked about playing the field, and he wanted to get some opportunities in right field, where the ball came to him, and he didn't have a lot of chances to make throws, but he feels like he's okay. The issue with Sal Frelick returning right now, and especially if he's got a torn labrum, is I don't know that even a fully healthy Sal Frelick had a supernatural path back to playing time, because Garrett Mitchell's in the lineup tonight. His arm's okay. So you're not worried about Garrett Mitchell. He's not going on the IL, so Sal Frelick doesn't have an in there. I'd think long and hard about taking Luis Lara off the field, because I don't know that even rookie Luis Lara is much better, worse than Sal Frelick. Like, I think the worst version of Luis Lara is unbelievable defense and bad hitting. And I think the average to below average version of Sal Frelick, which is basically what we've got this year, is good defense and bad hitting, except I think Luis Lara's defense is better. And we maybe are seeing signs in his last couple games that Luis Lara is figuring it out with the bat a little bit more. So is Sal Frelick a real natural improvement on Luis Lara right now? I don't think so. Also, if Jake Bauers isn't playing right field, then you got to take Andrew Vaughn out of the lineup. So how does that, you know what I mean? Like, there's just not a supernatural on-ramp for Sal Frelick right now. And Sal Frelick's not even healthy. So look, I'm just pointing out some factors. I'm not criticizing the Brewers for adding Sal Frelick back onto the roster. Johnny Ornelas can go. Bye. That's not a problem. But between Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Luis Lara, and Jake Bauers, like, those are 4 quote-unquote outfielders for 2 spots. And if Jake Bauers isn't playing the outfield, then that's kind of like a double whammy, because that impacts Andrew Vaughn's ability to play first, unless you're going to play him at third, which I don't think they should, because that means Joey Ortiz is coming out of the lineup, which I don't like. So they just got a little bit of a crunch. And I think Sal Frelick is a good baseball player and does things that can help them win. I don't know that he can do those things on a much higher level than the guys they already have playing, and he's not healthy. He's got a torn labrum, which he says isn't a big deal. Okay, I'll take his word for it, but it seems impossible that it would be a complete and total non-factor. We'll pick this up on the other side. More of your texts, a couple Brewers thoughts in advance of the Mets series tonight. And yeah, Mike Clemens going to be here at 5:35 to talk Packers as well.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Mike Clemens here in about 10 or 12 minutes. Join us to talk Packers. Getting caught up on the text line here. Yes, I misspoke. Bloomer is in Chippewa County. Incorrect. Brandon and Strum makes that correction. Shout out to Strum. More of an Oliva guy myself. I missed Broiler Fest this last year. I can't let that happen in 2027. It's going to be one of my New Year's resolutions. Adam in Lone Rock. Oh, sorry, Adam. Thank you for listening. Sorry about our Lone Rock commentary. It says Jagger Burton was the pick they got from Philly. Was it a fifth? Okay, that's not nothing. That's not nothing. That's not nothing. Thank you everyone for correcting me about the location of Bloomer. The point being, could we get some love for Bloomer, please, around the state with the coverage of Jack Strand? Again, dude goes to Green Bay Preble. We talked about it for 30 years. Guy's on an NFL roster from Bloomer. He's a Bloomer guy. Just more impressive. Nobody talks about it. I mean, I'm talking about it, but I should stop whining. I should just talk about it. Maybe it should fall onto me. Johnny Cribbage says, what is the pressure level on Murph and the Brewers? Is pay unevenness a total safety valve for him for years? I mean, in the postseason, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Is pay unevenness a total safety valve? I mean, if you're asking if Murph is managing for his job, then yes, I would consider pay inequity to be a safety valve. I guess I don't really know what you're asking, Johnny Cribbage. There's also some comments have been coming in. There've been a bunch of them, so I'm not going to read them all individually, but basically saying that Dontavian Wicks was out on the Brewers. He wasn't bought in. He wasn't welcome back. Okay. Maybe. I'm not sure. I asked Mike about this before, Clemens, and he basically said, no, I thought he was not a diva, not getting a negative impact on the team at all. Like Mike Clemens has not shared that with us. I don't think, at least by many, he was considered to be an issue, a problem. So my question is, if you bring Dontavian Wicks back this year and he's your fourth wide receiver, is that something that really impacts your season negatively? Does that hurt you? I think I would argue that it doesn't. And if it does, then that's a problem of your coaching staff. Get your players under control. Your wide receiver 4, man, where do you get off making a stink? Get healthy and play good football. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
No, Grant, I know you're still just kind of easing back in from vacation, probably still catching up on some of the headlines, but there is a Brewers-related news item related to the tunnels that I feel like I need to address. Did you hear about the Brandon Woodruff news over the weekend, that he was apparently going to start to begin throwing soon, and they've recommended him not getting surgery?
Yes. And we didn't really talk about it. I guess it didn't come up on last night's show. Maybe it should have. We talked about it a little bit on Bill's show earlier today. But yeah, he's not going to have surgery, and he's throwing. He's not throwing off a mound. He's not throwing bullpens or anything like that, but he's throwing.
Yeah, and I just wanted to caution Brewers fans on buying too much into that, because I do think it is a psyop from the tunnels. Because what I think it really is, I think the tunnels are trying to promote their Woodruff clone, because they actually want the clone of Woodruff throwing, because the actual Woodruff's arm is cooked. Like, we're not actually going to see him. So unfortunately, it's kind of a lose-lose situation for us as Brewers fans, and the cabal's just playing with our emotions a little bit. Because I think Woodruff is going to be a big test subject for the cloning technology that the cabal of MLB owners eventually wants to replace the players with. So if the Woodruff clone works out, that's going to fast track the technology, And, and then that's going to be when the players are locked out next year, the owners are just going to go ahead and start putting some clones in to replace the players. So, unfortunately, I don't like where this is headed, Grant.
Even cheaper than minor leaguers. And with Brandon Woodruff, how much of this do you think, Mad Max, so the cloning, yes. How much of this from Brandon Woodruff do you think is him realizing, hey, man, if I get another shoulder surgery at age 33, my career's just probably done? Like what are the odds I actually get the surgery and have a career on the other side? So I feel like him and the doctors are like, well, it looks like it's healing a little bit. If I want to pitch again in Major League Baseball, this is probably the most likely path, even if it's still not a super likely path. You know what I mean?
That's sort of what it seems like. Even if he starts going through his throwing progressions right about now, and even if he's not ready by the time the playoffs roll around, if he doesn't get surgery, he figures maybe he can at least give it one more shot next year, because he probably figures that next year is going to be his last shot at this point.
Can he just stay on Can he just stay on the injured list next year until August? I don't even care. Fine. Just hang out, rehab, stay in shape. Just hang out until the playoffs. I could give a rip next year. You know what I mean?
And if not, maybe just give him a spot in the coaching staff, kind of like they did with Wade Miley, because he does seem like a guy who's, everyone in the clubhouse obviously loves him, and he seems like he has a lot to offer. And I absolutely could see him sticking around the organization as a coach. And I think I'd like that a lot better, because I kind of am getting fatigued with the whole, he comes back, pitches a few games, goes back on the IL, and we all feel sorry for him. And, and it's just, I think it's at the point where he's probably realizing he needs to hang it up soon.
Well, and I think maybe the decision that he's making, Mad Max, I appreciate it, to not get surgery is him saying, well, wait a minute. If I get this surgery and I have to miss all of next year, realistically, what's waiting for me on the other side? How am I going to get surgery at age 32, 33, miss an entire year? What realistically, what's going to be there in a year or 15 months or 18 months? You probably take a minor league deal with somebody, maybe the Brewers. I think it's unlikely that Brandon Woodruff ever has another sizable stretch in Major League Baseball pitching again. And I think it's very unlikely he ever gets a contract worth a damn to pitch in Major League Baseball ever again. So knowing that, is it more likely to rehab and to come back, as it seems he's going to try to do now, and pitch some meaningful baseball, or is it more likely to get shoulder surgery again and come out the other side? I just think the first thing is more likely. And it's not to say it's likely, because it's not, but it's more likely than the other thing. I think, I believe him that his doctors are noticing healing in the spots where they need to notice it. I don't doubt that. I also just think well, what are we doing here, man? Do you still want to pitch again? Because you're not 28. I think he's 32 or 33, isn't he? I'm not undershooting it, right? Brandon Woodruff. I think he's 32. He's 33. So he'll be 34 in February. I'm not saying the surgery would be a death knell in your career, but basically pretty close. I think he knows that. And I think they've probably realized, let's just see if we can rehab. I would be stunned, even if he's able to come back and his shoulder is okay and he resumes throwing. I'd be stunned if he's ready before the end of this season. But might mean he's ready for the beginning of next season. But then the frustrating part, and Mad Max, you kind of hit on this, well, then what's waiting for us next year? He pitches for a month or two and then has to shut it. So we just replay the year that we just had next year. That's not great either. Oh, yeah, and by the way, the probably going to be a lockout anyway. So what are we doing? It's bleak, man. It's frustrating. It's grim. But if one path is slightly more likely than the other, I think it's this path. And if his shoulder is cooperating at least a little bit, then I guess it makes sense. Mike Clemens is going to join us next to talk Packers football. He's up in Green Bay with the very latest, what he saw over the weekend in their preseason game, the latest ahead of joint practices with the Cardinals and their third and final preseason game coming up this weekend. Mike Clemens will join us next. Thanks to the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in game. Never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Beauty and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show continues on. We thank the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, and comfortable. They're less than a mile from Lambeau Field. You can make your reservations, baymotelgreenbay.com, or give them a call, 920-494-3441. DM me off the air. I'll even give you Mike Clemens' room number if you want to give him a call. They present his appearances on our network, including on Bill's show earlier today. And I had the sad experience of, Mike, sometimes you call in and you've been working, or maybe you were pulling an all-nighter, so you just got up from a nap, and you say, Grant, is there any breaking news? And I had to tell you today, Dolly Parton passed away, so I had the unfortunate task of breaking that news to you earlier, Mike. Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just working on some football stuff here. And since we talked earlier today, I got a text here. So, when training camp starts, I live in Green Bay or follow the team when we go on the road, like for, Pittsburgh, whatever. Because there's something going on every day at camp. It's an everyday thing.
Yep.
Because I'm from the Milwaukee area. And we get off the air, and just about a half hour ago, my wife met up with our daughters, and they were at a Brandi Carlile concert last night in Madison.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me a picture. It looks like it's an outdoor venue. So I don't know where the show was. Do you?
Brandi Carlile in Madison, maybe at the Steve, maybe at Bree Stevens. Let me look.
Yeah,
that up.
it's like a big outdoor stage where the show is, because she sent me a little video of it.
Yeah, Bree Stevens. Yep, the soccer field on East Wash. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay. She said, "Hey, last night Brandi Carlile and the opening band was there. She went to the microphone and she said, 'Hey, y'all, Dolly is having some health issues, and we'd like you all to pray for her if you're a praying person.'" And then they performed Dolly's "Coat of Many Colors."
Oh, that's cool.
One of her earliest hits.
Yep.
And so, Cindy just found out about Dolly. I mean, look, Dolly Parton, man, she couldn't, from nothing from the hills, writes those songs and gets on the radio, and Porter Wagner, and then just constant evolution of projects and acting. I mean, a national treasure.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the stars, like I was trying to think of all the country stars, like who's even on her level. You talk about like Patsy Cline or Hank, they just died so young. So like sometimes these icons, we're lucky enough to have them for 80 years because they're around for so long, Mike. I think you almost start to lose grasp of how important and iconic they are. I mean, it's easy to look back at Jim Morrison or Jimi Hendrix and say, man, what a titan, gone too soon. It's almost like we remember them more strongly because they pass away young. I think Dolly Parton lives to 80. We almost take her for granted in the impact that she's had over the years.
Yeah, just, somehow managed to be so successful, constantly working, constantly developing new projects, and you could see promoters, business people that are now posting their favorite pictures with her and all that, just because they support her. She was just a kind person and successful, and it's hard to keep it going in show business. And she did it for every day for the last 50, 60 years.
At a certain point, you just want to say, I've done enough of this. I've had enough of the grind. And she never did. Not to just, harshly take a turn into the Packers. I know you have some comments we're going to listen to from coordinators who spoke on Saturday in lieu of Matt LaFleur. One thing that's come up on the show today, I brought it up on the show. So the Patriots traded Kayshon Boutte yesterday, and that kind of had me revisiting and thinking about the Dontavian Wicks trade again, where it's like you kind of give a guy up for not a whole lot because you want to maybe do right by the player or send them somewhere where they're going to have a bigger role. Looking back, just wondering, did the Packers have to trade Dontavian Wicks? Like, wouldn't they be better served? Jaden Reed, Christian Watson banged up a good amount. Maybe they'd be better served having him here as depth and as a guy who's waiting in the wings to help them on a short week when they're banged up or something like that. And I guess I just wanted to clarify with you, in your experience with Dontavian Wicks, was he ever someone who was raising a stink or becoming a real negative I guess, voice in the locker room because he was down the depth chart a little bit and maybe not psyched about his role?
Yeah.
He
exactly.
was.
Yes.
He was. Okay.
Sure.
So he was one of those guys.
So was the running back Emmanuel Wilson.
Mm.
You know, and when you talk about those failing report cards from the players inside the Packers locker room on Matt LaFleur,
Yeah.
you know, it's when some of those reps started losing those snaps in games as the season wore on. So to talk about the wide receiver room, well, first of all, it starts with Matthew Golden. It's just the first pick overall,
Yeah.
right? In the NFL draft. And, you know, when you're Dontavian Wicks and you're like the fourth or fifth guy, like, well, what am I? You know, what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
And then you got the Eagles saying, okay, goodbye, head case A.J. Brown. You're out of here. You need a guy. You got Brian Gutekunst, who gave up 2 first-round picks and a whole bunch of others out of the cupboard. He's now trying to get those picks back. So when the Eagles call you and say, hey, you got a receiver over there? Yeah, how about Wicks? You know, and for Wicks, it's like, sure, if I can get more reps and play for a good team like the Eagles, I'll take that deal. We'll take that deal. So it works out for everybody. I don't know about, you know, what Elliot Wolf's decision was yesterday regarding the Patriots, but
yeah,
I think at the end it all kind of works out, you know, because Wicks was knowing that he was not going to be the number 3. Here's another interesting thing. Isn't it interesting that the Packers, for the first time in 20 years, used their first-round pick on a wide receiver, and it's Matthew Golden.
Yep.
Here we are, year 2, and he's wide receiver 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, your number 1 is Christian Watson, and then Jaden Reed. You know, they weren't number 1s, right?
Yeah.
So that's what Green Bay does when it comes to developing receivers. Even if you're the first pick in the draft, with all of that fanfare like they had last year on the stage in Green Bay, it's a while before they let you come on. And Jordy Nelson says this, and Devontae Adams says this. It just, I don't know if it goes back to Ron Wolf, but certainly during the Ted Thompson, now Brian Gutekunst era, is that when you're a receiver in Green Bay, you start off as a returner, and it'll be a year or 2 or 3, and you make sure that you catch the ball. So one thing that really helped the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers era, and now Jordan Love, is there are guys that can catch the football for you, and that really gets your stats up.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I sent you a cut too. It's cut number 3 from Jason Vrabel. So, you know, you're into that game. You're in that opening drive, and you've got some Denver Broncos pressure, like number 99 coming off the rookie left guard, Zach Allen, in your face, back-to-back in the backfield. Jordan Love had to get rid of they weren't screenplays. He was trying to get rid of the ball. Fortunately, he was able to pick up that blitz from the inside and move the ball down the field. And they didn't settle for a field goal. They got themselves a touchdown with that nice call from Adam Stenovich, the offensive coordinator. He was calling the plays the other night for a touchdown pass to Marshawn Lloyd. But the key play in the drive, I think it was a 4th down, was to hit Matthew Golden on the 19-yard catch, 4th and 1, with Patrick Surtain, one of the best corners in the NFL. Nasty dude, throwing people out of bounds. He was covering Matthew. And, you know, that's the big difference about last year to this year, is already they're saying in camp how much better Matthew Golden finishes his routes. So Jason Vrabel, who's been there now 7-8 years, he's been promoted from receivers coach to passing coordinator. All these guys have got houses started $1 million in Green Bay, by the way. He talked about that play to Matthew Golden and the difference that a year has made for him.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in here knows how good Pat is, as a defensive back. Probably the best, if not the best in the league, top guy. So we knew going into the game, you see early on we threw at Christian when Matthew actually had the same route mirrored. And I thought he did a good job, had a chance to maybe win on that side of the field. But some guys will shy away from throwing at him, when you watch the game plans and you watch tape. But we kind of had mirror routes, Christian and him kind of running crossers. They doubled Christian. Hafunga kind of tried to pick him off. So they doubled him. So we had the one-on-one with Pat. And MG had a step on him. I thought probably the best part about the play, when you really watch it in kind of slow motion, it wasn't that Pat wasn't there. Pat was outside leverage. So he kind of had the runaway, off the jump. But it was more when the DB fell off, that Matthew felt that he kind of went late hands as opposed to kind of attacking that. He kind of drifted away from. I thought he did a really good job there, feeling out that with great late hands. I think he probably had to put the ball away a little bit cleaner. As you saw in that clip, Pat almost got that ball out as well. So that's one that we just got to finish the catch a little bit more violent, get the ball tucked. But it was a great play by him and one that kind of set us up to score points on that drive, right?
So it's Jason Vrabel, Packers wide receiver coach, on Matthew Golden. Mike Clemens is here. Mike, you said that Matthew Golden is their wide receiver 3. I think on paper right now, maybe, but you tell me. I think Watson and Reed are boomer bust guys, maybe based on the week. Like Christian Watson could have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns one week, and then the ball just doesn't find him the next. I think Matthew Golden is more like Romeo Doubs in that if he is healthy and the player the Packers think he is, he might be a little bit more consistent in terms of production week by week, catches, yards, maybe in a way that Reed and Watson aren't. Now, I don't know what then leads who to be quantified as wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. But I think Golden, if he is the guy that the Packers expect him to be, might be a little bit more consistent production-wise week to week compared to the other 2. You know what I mean?
Right. And ultimately, Jordan Love makes that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, at the line of scrimmage, he sees the matchups, and he gives Matthew Golden, he gives MG the nod and says, okay, it's 3rd down. I'm going to trust you on this one. And with that speed, he breaks open and, runs to the sideline, and here comes the ball. So the reason that, you list Watson, and look at the development that Watson is. The infamous drop on the first play of the game from Aaron Rodgers to him, and he drops it in the perfect conditions at U.S. Bank against the Vikings. To now, he's a reliable receiver, right? I mean, it took time in terms of overcoming injuries, a torn ACL. Even last year in that Broncos game, he had to go to the hospital. They didn't know if he had a collapsed lung or not. But he's the stud out there. He's the main guy when they go XYZ out there. But I just think that that's interesting as to how they've developed those guys. And they've got these guys that are knocking on the door like Will Shepard, Isaiah Nair. But I don't think when they keep Sky Moore, and Savion Williams has had a good camp. Bo Melton is a good camp. They're not going to. I don't see any surprises in that receiving core that'll be cut to make room for those other guys.
So Savion Williams has looked good.
He has.
Okay.
And he's improved. And he's improved in this camp in terms of his reliability of completing the catch, not just getting his hands on it, but incredible leaps in the air. The speed is there. I think the route running is there. It's probably not as crisp yet as they would like it to be, but they're finding ways to get him the ball. I think he makes the cut for sure.
All right, so we're talking about offensive position groups. We can do the O-line, but what about running back too? Because we assume Josh Jacobs is going to be okay, but he could be suspended. He could be banged up. Who knows with Marshawn Lloyd? So we've talked a little bit about the other guys. There could be a massive opportunity at running back 3. There could be a huge opportunity for someone like Pierre Strong, or maybe not, but it's worth at least considering and monitoring, right?
Yeah. I don't think Josh Jacobs plays it all Friday night. He has been dealing with a groin injury, so he's been limited or out of practice the last week or 2. He was in practice yesterday, took some snaps to get started. Legally, there's stuff that's coming from Scheffner and from the league sources like, the league is looking into this. So he's not, completely in the clear yet. There could be some kind of suspension for whatever's happened so far in that situation. Marshawn Lloyd continues to look good every day. To me, the more I see him now, I start thinking he's almost Aaron Jones. Not quite. Aaron Jones was really good when he started out at dissecting pre-snap where the linebackers are going to be, where the hole's going to be. He's still trying to figure that out. So they're trying to find ways to get him the ball because he's almost as fast as Aaron Jones in my mind. He's got some twitch, he's got some burst, but so far that's what we see. Chris Brooks is the reliable 3rd down back that's good for pass protection, smart and all that. But I don't know if Pierre Strong Jr., who's had a good camp, I think, and a 68-yard return the other night and kickoff return is enough to be the number 3, and I don't think they keep 4 running backs. So we asked Cam McCord, who's the new special teams coordinator. This guy is full of energy. And, I don't care what folks think. Rich Bisaccia is a good coach, very thorough, knows his business. 65 years old now, kind of winding things down out at Clemson, place where he's been before. But I'll tell you what, so far, this Cam McCord, who worked for Belichick, the master of special teams in the Patriots, he knows his stuff. And so I asked him, that 68-yard return, now what was the key to that kickoff return? Good decision-making, the way you plotted the blocking? Here's what he said.
It really is. We want our returners to catch the ball going forward. Jeff Kuntz works with our returners. He does a really good job with those guys. You see him back there all the time. Just emphasizing catch mechanics. It starts there, like actually catching the ball coming forward, because it just makes it that much different for the blockers. And that's what it is on a kickoff return. The fraction, the run alley is very small, and it's going to close real quick. And then just pressing the blocks. The guys did a really good job blocking. If you really look at it on the film, like there's a lot of guys that are latched on to defenders. The one guy we didn't block was obviously Free. It's the guy that makes the tackle. So, those are going to happen. But they do a really good job. Jeff, Corey, that work with me. I'm blessed to have two guys that are really good, and they do a really good job for us out there, focusing on that and communicating. But Pierre did a really good job catching it going forward, pressing the blocks, and then getting vertical.
All right, and lastly, Mike, I want to talk a little bit about the O-line. I left with the right guard position today. There's some questions there. It is my opinion from afar that Brian Gutekunst has amassed enough talent along the O-line. I think the last couple of years, we've seen maybe some missteps by the coaching staff on where to train guys and practice them and where to play them. What did you hear from Luke Butkus, Stenovich over the weekend to give you an idea of maybe how they're tracking, especially at right guard? But then that's going to have implications on backups at other positions as well.
If a fan is reading these breakdowns and predictions of the 53-man roster, the question you have to have in your mind for offensive line, take away two guys.
Okay.
Then tell me what you got.
Yeah.
Take away two injuries. Let's say that Banks has to leave again for a game. And then, Zach Tom has got to go from right tackle. Now what are you going to do? That's the real question if you, in fact, you are ready for the season. So far, you've got, it looks like Aaron Banks will be able to answer the bell and play left guard. Sean Ryan's having a great camp after getting paid to be your starting center. And it looks like Jacob Monk, going into his third season, is ready to go and play right guard, because Stenovich says, man, he's got a nasty thing about him, and so they like that, fiery. And then Zach Tom Balawili is, should be healthy enough to go for week 1. John Williams is a 7th-round pick from last year. I think he could be a good backup. Anthony Belton, who did a nice job as a rookie playing right guard, he could be the backup tackle. So that makes you feel good about the depth if and when the injuries start to roll in on offensive line. So then let's go back to left tackle. And the fact that, you're still trying to replace David Bakhtiari. Rasheed Walker did okay. Bakhtiari was so good with his feet, and the dancing bear to keep that edge guy on the outside. And so I asked Luke Butkus, nephew of Dick, I said, I see Jordan Morgan in these one-on-ones throwing guys down, isn't that a penalty? But how powerful he is, and he talked about that.
Yeah, well, we talk about using our hands, punching people, right? That's our job. And pass pro, keeping them off our body, away from the quarterback. Well, the best way to do that is by using your hands and punching, right? This isn't the 1950s anymore where you have to use your forearms to block people, right? These guys are trying to go through our face. And he is, again, one thing that we talk about with him every day is using your hands and punching. And he is not there yet, but he's doing a better job. And he's constantly thinking about that. And when he does, to match his footwork and his athletic ability, he's pretty darn good.
Is that because of his strength or?
Timing, punch, right? If you're coming at me, when do I punch? Well, you coming at me is different every rep, right? What you're giving me your chest, you're giving me your shoulder, right? You're spinning. So it's just rep after rep of seeing different, we call it whatever near point, whatever nearest point of view comes at me, I'm trying to punch that and trying to narrow that down. So just rep after rep.
They seem like the play style of some of these guys, Mike. We'll see if the fit is there, if they're good enough, but I like the play style. I like hearing that, a little bit more toughness. I think they've lacked that. I got to run, Mike. We will talk again before the end of the week at some point. I'm not sure when, but we will. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Mike Clemens, thanks to Bay Motel in Green Bay. Appreciate his time. Got to take one final break. Wrap up the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Final segment, the Wisco Sports Show. Appreciate Mike Clemens. He'll be joining us throughout the week. I think Thursday evening he'll be back with us at 5:35. I always like to keep him flexible. He does so much on Bill's show. I just love Mike whenever we can get him. But we'll check in at least once more with him on this show before their preseason game and joint practices later this week. You know, the joint practices, ask any coach, they just get more out of the joint practices than the preseason games. It's like, yeah, we know. Part of the thing that annoys me about NFL head coaches is they feel like they have to reinvent everything. We can't call special teams. We got to call it defense. We can't just have preseason games. We got to have joint practices so we can control everything. All right. Sorry to be whiny. Brewers Mets tonight. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Excited to have a baseball game to talk